Well, here we are again, guys. Emotionally screwed up and sleep deprived zombies out there. This is the zombie of Rosamond, California. Welcome to the diary of the griever named John Weaver, Debbie Me. It is 3:48 in the morning. It is Thursday, the 19th of January, 2023. Bug war still continues, and so does the freight. God, that's a loud horn. I'm only about 2 or 3 blocks away from that thing, and it's a loud horn. That'll wake you up in the morning. Unless, of course, you're out here and you can actually get used to the trains. It's also somber anniversaries coming up that people are not liking to deal with, but doing it in memory of. For a friend out in Antelope Valley who's coming up on one particular day that's going to be hurting like hell since '93. I don't know what it is like to lose a family member in combat. I know what it is like to see a family member go to and come back in one piece. Physically. Mentally, it's a different story altogether. My brother was a vet a long time ago, and I tried to tell the story as best as I could concerning about it because sometimes it hurt even him sometimes, but he still told it. He was still proud that he served his country. He served the United States Navy, hopefully with honor and distinction, but unfortunately some of the choices he's made while being in the United States Navy ruined a career in place of doing a career with the family once more and being a dutiful son, being the firstborn. If sacrifice is made that even Uncle Sam would be sneering at, but unfortunately, family called and duty, a higher duty, was more important than what the state had said. But he tried to serve both masters and couldn't. But he wished for a long time to get his status upgraded and never had before his death. Lost his paperwork, lost his chances in the last several years of his life to do so. Due to other choices made, other decisions made without us. And he had to live without the distinction and honor that he had earned. There's no way for me to recreate it all either. If we actually had photocopies and backup files, if they were digital at one time, that would have been. I mean, we could have done, but we didn't. But I know what it's like to serve with a vet, to serve with vets, and to be a caregiver to my big brother who was a vet in the United States Navy. I know people will be screaming about stolen valor at this point. Let them. My brother who was who he was and did his job. And nobody can take that away from him. He did what he did. He did what he could. But he didn't die without honor, though. I have to be the survivor that mourns both mother and a big brother, so I know what it is like to deal with anniversaries coming up. My mom was 10 years coming up in February 1st and February 19th. That's what happens when you die and then not making official, then come back to life by life support means and linger on for 18 more days before the mortal corpse is finally released. My brother and I had did our fair share with Mama. We know how that feels. And after her passing, it was hard as hell to deal with it. Dave and I, or my brother was a true alcoholic. I never considered myself a true alcoholic, just once screwed up enough with the damn disease. But I was, and still am, an alcoholic. October 10th, 2005. No, I'm sorry, 2006 was the date for it. My brother was September 18th. September 18th. He would have had 33 years in the program. Long struggle, but he was proud of it. So I know what it's like to lose family. I know how the years are. Each year it gets harder and harder to deal with, knowing that your family's not there. When you actually have support with you, it's better that way. When you actually have other people around you to walk you through it, it's better that way. Let's face it, dealing with it alone sucks. There are friends out there who actually had it, but sometimes have a hard time trying to talk about it. Dealing with loss is not one of those easiest things that one can actually talk to another person intimately about, unless, of course, they're willing to let their guards down to actually express it. Even harder is when you have family or cousins, nieces, nephews out there. When all the uncles and aunts are gone, when all the matriarchs are gone, all you're left is the generations afterwards. And even then they have, or the older generation of the nieces, nephews, and cousins. They have a hard time trying to deal with it. They don't like talking about it. Who does? The easiest thing to do is just keep it buried alive and be in festering cancer until it eats you alive, and then you're waking up in a hospital bed wondering where the hell you are after time. My mother was the same way. She was getting dementia. She was losing herself in those hospital beds multiple times. When they start to know you in the emergency room, almost intimately, you know you've been there too damn long. My brother and I took care of our mother the best we could. But it wasn't my brother's turn when the ambulance companies knows my brother too damn well. That's even worse. And then they start knowing him at the hospital because my brother had been there so many times for Mama. Now it's his turn to be a turnstile. It's like the old-fashioned fruitcake joke. I've heard too many damn times a long time ago. It's one gift that keeps on giving because you keep giving and regifting and regifting and regifting. My brother was heart conditioned. Always problems with that damn ticker of his, and I thought I was the one with the bad ticker in the family. Shit. More stress added to him when he kept going to the damn hospital. Never could take care of himself properly. And the last thing with deal him his doom was trans-ischemic attacks in his head. Took away mobility. He didn't care about that. That'd still help him along. But when you take away a person's ability to communicate, that is a no-brainer. That's termination of life right there, because without communication, what do you got? Zip. He couldn't form the words. He couldn't find the right words. He get pissed off all the damn time. I guess he valued communication more than he valued his life, but he had told me a long time ago that the Cameron line, the male side, actually had a curse going on. After you reach the age of 60, you're screwed. Your lifespan's over. My brother had been told by his biological father a long time ago, before Ma had an encounter with my own biological sperm donor. But at least he had a father. I kept telling him that for so many damn years. Dave and I would have arguments about that one. I kept telling him, at least you knew your father. I didn't have one. I had a hit and run. That's what I called him. A lot worse names too. But at least my brother got to know. He got to know his biologic side. Some of them actually accepted me as part of their family. The rest of them didn't care. That's all right. Dealing with anniversaries, dealing with being alone away from family, not able to talk with people as much. People like to grieve alone and mourn alone because that's the only thing in the way they can deal with it without going out and talking to people. And they do, they put the mask on. The mask is what protects you from your own damn pain outside. You don't want anybody else to know about it. Why do I do these videos all the time? Is I'm taking the mask off and trying to talk about the damn thing. It's not that easy. And putting it in the public, putting it in the world like this, putting it on YouTube. I call it the Diary of the Dreamer named John Weaver because that's me. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about my family, my experiences, how I'm going through life, before and after. Something to remind myself as a time capsule of sorts, but also maybe a way for other people to understand. Look, I don't have any doctorates or anything else. I'm not a specialist. I'm just going through the crap I'm going through right now. I'm going to be 57 this year. And if I truly believe in this damn curse thing, then I'm screwed. So the two things I still wanted to complete in my life is complete college before I die, and not to mention being a published author of sorts. And if I can accomplish that, and I guess maybe I'm trying to do two things I wanted to do in my lifetime. I wanted to be a published author. I got stuff to be read, but nobody's seen it just yet. Always afraid that somebody's going to be not liking the damn thing, but now I got to find out how to go through the damn process of getting the works out there, and then hopefully somebody can appreciate them. Maybe time will tell on that one, and I won't be around for it, or maybe I will be. I don't know. The fate of the universe has its own quirkiness. Maybe I'll be spared from the damn thing. Maybe I'll be alive past 61, hopefully. That'll be something. Try to sound hopeful for the future. I'm so close of completing college at my age. I've seen other people older than I am being students going at night and also during the daytime. When the younger generation sees the older generation sitting in college classes listening to people in between their ages. I know the people in between my age and the student's age have already done their fair share of academia, and they're there to teach it. I wasted 30 years of screwing up. After getting out of high school, my mind was still not right. I had a hell of a lot of shit going on, including losing family members. I was still rattling my cage, and I could probably use every other damn excuse, but I just wasn't ready for college. I tried to be, but it's like I still had a mentality of, was it worth it? I hoped it was worth it back then. Algebra I still had a problem with. Geology I was still trying to understand. Physical science, you do the PE. That's physical energy right there. English I liked. English I could talk to and still work on essays. My handwriting sucked at the time. Yes, back then we even had the green and blue books. The composition books. My handwriting sucked. It sucked all the way through my lifetime. Never could keep a clean, neat scribble. Never. It would take me a lot longer to write the stuff out, and I didn't have that time for doing essays in that form or fashion. There's only so much whiteout you could use. History classes were alright, but you had to remember names and dates like crazy. It drove me nuts. I preferred the stories when the professors were talking about them. But sometimes there was this one professor I had for English history, and he was talking about the Dark Ages. Cloak and dagger, and he put you. Ugh. I was sleeping. Mentally sleeping. I'm listening to all this dark web crap he was throwing out there during that time. All this medieval cloak and dagger. We stabbed this guy and we stabbed that. We were assassinating things left and right in the Tudor age. I'm listening to this stuff and I'm like, oh my god. Melodramatic. Knew his stuff and he was making it melodramatic. God, he was worse than the BBC at the time. I think about it with humor in my older age. In the younger age, it was a different mindset altogether. It was a completely a different mindset. But I didn't have it back then that I have now, which is not urgency, but excitement. Excitement for dealing with education, life, and everything else that I had to think about. What I'm thinking about is sorry, bug war. When I'm dealing with bugs walking around all over the damn place, they're just driving me nuts. They're driving me nuts. So I like to drop up my head every so often. See, if you haven't seen anything crawling around, don't freak. I'm having a cockroach war in this place. It's been about 3 months already. Hell of a way to take me off the damn game in the first place. This is just basically telling people what's going on. I try to do these videos to let people know what's happening in my life right now. I mean, I go off on a tangent concerning about my past and how things used to be back then compared to what it is right now. An older folk coming into college classes and seeing teachers a lot younger than I am, but they got more knowledge than I do, so I'm here to suck out their brains. Listen to what they have, write things down either by rote or by reinterpreting what they're trying to communicate to me. And then hope to God I've got it all right and pass the class with full colors, with full credit, and move on. And I discovered that sometimes in some of the classes I've been taking, I've been examining other things that I hadn't examined first and bringing perspective of 30 years of working my ass off, different jobs, but going through life. and bringing that perspective into a class. Try this one. Try this one. We just a couple of days ago actually had an anniversary for I think it was about 28, 29 years. 29 years of the Northridge earthquake. Well, they called it a Northridge earthquake. I call it a Reseda earthquake because it happened too damn close to my house. I was living on Clare at the time between Sherman Way and Saticoy. We're too damn close to the epicenter. But Northridge is where the damn thing started major damage and everything else just radiated to be a total disaster zone in the San Fernando Valley at the time. And not to mention the Southland. I did videos on this one here. But the anniversary was coming up. And already I was anxious about that damn thing because I thought we'd have another quake on this one. Quakes and I don't mix. I was born 5 years before quake happened. And being a true native Californian, I hate quakes. I learned how to despise, fear, and loathe quakes, even though I would try to understand the mechanism. Why? Geology at its best. Seismology, volcanology. Your sciences of how to study a dynamic engine at work. Morbidly fascinating when you understand about how the earthquake happens. You hear and see the process, and you see the results of it. But going through the damn process is what scared the hell out of me all the damn time. And I had to live with that damn fear. And then, realizing that this year coming up is going to be 5 years for Ma. Actually, 10 years for Mama. 5 years for David. Oh, man. That's what makes 2023 a little bit more difficult to deal with because I'm dealing with anniversaries I don't like. And to this date, I don't even know what the date I had the heart surgery where I died myself. Getting back to that topic. If there was such a place called Fantasy Island, I mean, we've all watched the show back in the late 70s, early 80s. Ricardo Montalban, Hervé Villechaize. Got the rest of most of them. And now they got a new Rourke in this new episode. But if this place actually did exist, and I was actually able to go to this fantasy island and make a request, it would be to answer a few questions. I probably would be spending every damn dime I had, and maybe more so, to understand why. Go to the island and ask why. Have a persona of the Almighty out there and ask him why. There's so many things I wanted to ask. Why is grieving so much of a pain in the ass to us? Why did my dad had to... No, I have no dad. I have a biological sperm donor, did a hit and run and never been a dad or a father or anything else connected to me. Just did his thing with my mother and left. There was a lot of anger and resentment still on that one. And what was going on through my brother's brain? The decisions he made just around the time he was dying. Was it his choice or was it God's choice to pull him up during that time? And why the hell was I spared in the heart operation? I guess God was seeing more things than what I was seeing, more connections to everything else than what I could conceive of. The only bit of thread I have still as a connection is a letter that my brother I wrote to a surgeon before my chest operation happened, pleading with the doctor not to let me die. I guess it was either before or after the surgery. The surgeon actually gave the letter to Mama. And Mama was told in a recovery room. I wish I remembered this so vividly. I could ask for that one too. Remember the whole thing vividly. Tell him that I died, Ma. That God sent me back 3 times, kept telling me it wasn't my time. I was scared. The light was so comforting and warm, and I was home, and I wanted to go back home. I wanted to go back home. But it wasn't my time. My time was down here on Earth. And Ma didn't want me to go, and neither did Dave. So it's kind of hard to deal with the concept of me dealing with that, my own mortality again. I wasn't ready yet as a young kid. Am I ready now as an adult? Have I done what I've done, or what I should have done now here? Did I live enough? Did I live, period? What was I supposed to do? Just be? I've had questions about that for a long while. Just being. What was it like just to be? What do you do? Just stand there? I mean, everything about us has to be doing something. There's always action. Not just standing still. Even standing still, you're acting. You're acting still. You're just existing. Was it just to exist and that's it? Nothing accomplished? You know what's drilled in our heads all the damn time? Growing up as kids? We have to accomplish something. We have to build. We have to. Because every generation has to do this. Every generation has to do this. We must. All this damn time going through. We never could get it right, could we? Because sometimes we just want to just remain still. We get older, we're told this thing now from shrinks and therapists and everybody else. It's kind of hard for us to be that way because we were taught a long time ago, bust your ass. Bust your ass. Doesn't matter what the hell's going on, you bust your ass. Doesn't matter if you're feeling lousy, you gotta bust your ass. If you're feeling great, you gotta bust your ass. It's even better. You gotta bust your ass, you gotta do. I see animals and they just walk around eating and pooping. But they're existing. They're wandering around, they're enjoying life. We, unfortunately, are workaholics. We have to constantly struggle. We have to constantly get things. We have to constantly do things. If not, what the hell are we figuring we are? Nothing. If we're not doing, we're nothing. That's how it is. How it is on a constant basis. We can't even get past that damn shit. So how is it I'm supposed to get through this? How else am I supposed to be able to deal with what it is right now? I'm facing it all the time. Have to do, whack-a-do, whack-a-mole. But this is the thing I deal with on a constant basis. So I think being in this kind of contemplative thought mode of mine, even before Ma and Dave died, I was constant. But after they passed away, I had struggled right after Mama's death to make her proud. I didn't have the time. I didn't take the energy. It just wasn't presented. Just wasn't there. And if it was, I totally missed it or oblivious to it. After she passes away, I get into college and I'm busting my ass. My brother's prouder than hell. I know he is now. And I'm prouder than hell what I'm doing. But what kicks my ass all the damn time throughout these damn decades, why wasn't I having that kind of perspective and context? Why wasn't I able to do that for myself back then? That would have been something in my lifetime, you know? To get the coveted Bachelor of Arts. Get past the damn AA, get to the BA, get to the MA, get to the PhD, and really make my family proud. But was it what I wanted? I wanted to write for a living, but I didn't do that. I worked my ass off for a living. I learned what life was all about. Self-sacrifice and everything else. More. A lot more. It's hard to look at yourself sometimes. I do that though. Do that in these videos. Every time I keep picking up a cell phone to record things on. Tell my life story. A lot more audio than it is about video. Video takes up too much room on flash drives. Too many zeros and ones. And sometimes I need the zeros and ones. Otherwise, I'm not getting anything down, am I? Yeah. My body's trying to call it right now. It's too damn early for me to be up like this, but that's what happens when you're a sleep-deprived zombie. Sometimes you do get sleep, and other times you wake up wondering, do you need more sleep? The body and brain's trying to tell me yes. So